United States of America, President Donald Trump.
Just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today. 'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Yeah. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. There's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And God bless our president and our vice president.
Where do you begin? Where do you begin? Where do you begin? And I didn't know Lee Greenwood would be here. That was a surprise. That was a surprise. Wow. We love that voice and we love that song, don't we? Thank you, Lee. Boy, oh boy, that was great. That was great.
Well, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that really was heartfelt. I mean, I watched that. That was the president's rally in Tennessee, and Lee Greenwood was actually on the stage with the president and vice president. The video is on the website. But, I mean, it was like a tearjerker to watch him singing that. And I got to say, we're looking at football game. Crowds are starting to, I mean, the crowds are phenomenal. I mean, if you looked at the waveform and you looked at that applause, wow. Welcome to Cold War Radio Live, ladies and gentlemen, your number one source for government and political talk anywhere, coming to you from the Steel City Resistance Studio in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, Hutch Bailey Jr., deep down in the broadcast bunker, and from Ice Station North Studio, our Sentinel in Europe, somewhere on the Norwegian Sea. Come in, Radio Norway.
Good evening, Mr. Hutch Bailey Jr., and good evening to our lovely audience, and a big shout out to our Spreaker audience. If you're listening to this show and haven't been by our Spreaker chat room, do it. It is a fantastic experience. It is November 6th in Norway, 2:37 a.m., and I am definitely ready for some Cold War radio action.
So am I. I couldn't wait to get on the air tonight. I'll tell you, it's like that when you take a day in between in situations like this. It's hard to stay off the air. I almost did a special show, but I didn't. I saved it. Please follow me on Spreaker. Like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. Catch the podcast after the live stream on your Roku via Blueberry, or you can go to YouTube, the405media.com out of Los Angeles. Cold War Radio is an iHeartRadio program, and there is a free Cold War Radio app waiting for you in your app store. You can catch the show on Spotify, iTunes, Deezer. If you want to send email, it's hutch@steelcityresistance.com. The Cold War Radio Patron hotline, 412-206-6208. Don't know how much time we're going to have for calls tonight. This is a jam-packed show prior to the election. The chat room is up on Spreaker with Cold War Radio. VFW President Rocky presiding in the chat room. Please go to steelcityresistance.com, catch the research room, become a Cold War Radio patron, or check out the videos associated with tonight's audio clips in the Cold War Radio show video clips page. If you want to send mail, send it to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 96022, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15226. And as expected, Norway, the iPad is not going to be counted on tonight. I was just happy it got through that Trump intro. I mean, that was amazing. We're going to fix that, ladies and gentlemen. If I got to replace it, I don't know. I thought I had it squared away, but I do not, apparently. So this is the election, pre-election show. We are going to do no show tomorrow night, but we are going to do an election analysis episode on Wednesday with all current Cold War Radio co-hosts at the table, including Stacy Rush, by the way. So, and it was cool. She posted a picture of her son's varsity letter jacket on Facebook today, and it looks so cool with Rush across the back of his coat. Man, it looks cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a name made for it. Simply brilliant.
Absolutely. So, Norway, now all the lies have been told. Now we go to decide in America, and we're going to decide whether we are Democrat socialists or whether we are a constitutional republic, a representative republic, I might add, hence the Electoral College. And I have a question for you. What do the losers do? On both sides. We'll talk about our opinions on what's going to happen next, but just on both sides, kind of lay out the differences between the two types of people and two types of ideologies if we would lose.
Yeah, well, if the Democrat socialists, if they lose, I know what they will do. They will keep bashing the president. They will keep trying to undermine the republic through their deep state plans. They will do everything they can to undermine the American people, to degrade and demote and drag America and her citizens through the mud. That is what the Democrat socialists will do if they lose. If the constitutional Republicans lose, I would say they would just start working for the next election. The 2020 Trump re-election, I would say that is probably already in the making, and I would say that Trump has a very good chance of winning that election again. But I would say I can't imagine that people would vote Democrat at all tomorrow. It beggars belief when you look at all the violence, all the cheating, all the voter fraud, election fraud. I can't see that anyone with more than one brain cell would vote for these.
No, I agree. Voters. It's been blowing my mind for years, and I think a lot of the reason has been exposed, and I think a lot of that edge is gone right now. And I agree with you. I would add one more thing that the Democrats will, or the socialists, as they now proclaim to be, will increase the violence. There's no question. It'll just be how we react to it as a country. I think the violence has wrecked their whole program. I really do. I mean, it's something that we'll only find out tomorrow. And I think that we have a lot more going for us, but the Donald Trump himself. Let's not say the administration. You know that this is orchestrated by the president. Is going wall to wall on the campaign. I mean, the crowds are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're scaring the hell out of the rest. And now we have tonight Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity are both going to appear at his rally tonight in Missouri, and that's something that didn't happen before. Maybe with Hannity it did, but not with Rush.
Yeah, that is good news, and I mean, wow, what a boost for Fox. I mean, there are these three giants: Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham. They are really the ones pulling that entire load for Fox News. So that is a big one. But I think that if the crowds are anything to go by, the Democrats, they really have reason to be scared shitless this time, because they are at least as big as they were in 2016, maybe even bigger. I've seen quite a few rallies now, and it is amazing the crowd that President Trump is drawing.
It is. There's no question. Now, there are going to be some races. For instance, in my area, Connor Lamb, who won that special election a year ago, he's probably going to win in this district, in this race as well. And one of the reasons is because the House Republican House Reelection Committee, whatever it's called, pulled all the RNC too, pulled all the funds away from Keith Rothfus. They gave up on him way too early, in my opinion, as did all the Republicans that retired early. I think the ones that legitimately left because they thought they were going to lose, and we'll never know how many were leaving to get away from jail and how many were leaving because they thought they were going to lose, or they were committee chairmen, and if the House flipped, they would just go back to being regular members again. But they all jumped the gun too, in my opinion. They really did. They listened to the conventional wisdom, which was bullshit from the beginning. Now, let me take this call first before I get into this. Let's welcome Ken from King George. What's going on, Ken?
Hey, just one thing. I was listening to Larry O'Connor on the way home from work, and apparently he had the courage to go out and listen to some guy from Vox. So they're already pushing this narrative on the left that, well, even if the Democrats win the popular vote for all their candidates on the House, but still lose the House, to kind of push this, the electoral college is bad and we need to get rid of it because it's not a popular vote thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you. You can chew on that a little bit.
I don't understand it though. The electoral college doesn't apply this year.
Well, but they're still trying to push that narrative though, that it needs to go away. And that because of the Electoral College is the reason we have Trump in the first place, right?
Yeah, and it basically takes away the giant, fraudulent, dead voter base in the cities, in the coastal cities. The country will never agree to rule from New York City and San Francisco. Not going to happen. There'll be war. There will be war before that.
Oh yeah. But
the electoral college, electoral college. Holy smokes! There is a constant war against it, and even if it doesn't apply in this election, it is. I see it all the time.
Oh yeah,
as a talking point. And the inner city water plantations, in order for them to manage to take any sort of power, they need that college gone, and they need it badly gone before the next presidential election in 2020.
And again, that's not going to happen either. Because, and thanks for the call, Ken, and good point. I appreciate it.
Yep.
But
I'm going to have a long day tomorrow. I'm actually one of the election officials down here in Virginia. So.
Good for you. Keep them honest.
Good luck with that, Ken.
All right. So the thing is that all this stuff, in order to fix that, you would have to add an amendment to the Constitution. And you're not getting 3/4 of the Senate or 60 votes or whatever it is. I think it's 3/4. And you're not going to get 3/4 of the states to go for that either.
No, absolutely not. But there is a concerted effort, and actually, there is a video. I don't remember the title of it, but there is a video up on PragerU, the YouTube channel Prager University, which details how far they have gotten in that process of removing that college, and you should never say never.
You're right. You're 100%
They're
right.
working in the wings on this little coup, and I was really surprised when I watched that video about a year ago, maybe a year and a half, how far they have gotten with persuading states to back a resolution taking that electoral college away.
Right, but again, the process, and you're right, they have made inroads, and the Democrats, the socialists, the communists, which is a completely, their form of government is completely European leftist. When you look at the Democrat Party today, it's not an American party anymore. It's just not. And they've made a lot of progress in a lot of areas. You look at where we were on the signing of the ratification of the Constitution of the United States on the Second Amendment, and where we are today, and they're far different places. We do not have the right to bear arms as we should in this country, in my opinion, because they whittled it down. They used the 1920s and Al Capone in Chicago. Imagine that. With his Thompson submachine guns, and they eliminated that, which I'm of this age, so I got that. It's been that way all my life, but the longer you go in time, if you have a kid right now that's 18, and this is the first that he's hearing of political arguments, look at the homosexual mafia, what they did. They had a 25-year plan, Norway, 20 years ago, to normalize homosexuality in America. And it only took them 20 years to do it, because they had a 25-year plan. And they
exactly. Well, now they're not concentrating so much on homosexuality as all the other letters in that alphabet soup, and it's really a threat. It's a threat to the Republic.
It is.
And it's also a threat to Europe, because we have the same things going on here. When it comes to that GTQ, whatever.
EIEIO. Yeah.
EIEIO. We're not at that radical standpoint in Europe yet, as in America. But if what's happening in America is anything to go by, it will hit us very soon. But on the other hand, we have another liberal invention, namely Islam, taking us over. So, I mean, if it is the crazy alphabet soup or Islam that takes you over, it's bad either way.
It is. There's no question. And it has. And again, my opinion. Anybody that's listened to my shows over the years knows a couple things. One, I don't give a damn what you do at your own house, as long as it's not hurting anybody or hurting me. But you don't get extra stuff. You know, you just do what you do and leave me alone, and we'll be fine.
And sexuality is definitely something that belongs in the bedroom between two adult people.
Now, when you start branching out from that, though, you start talking about adopting children and stuff like that. Now I start to have a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, the majority of psychological research shows that a child needs both a father and a mother figure in their life. So,
if you don't think that's true, just look at Chicago, where 75% of the babies in the hood are born without fathers.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, Chicago is bad. And well, you mentioned Al Capone and guns here a couple of minutes ago, and I would say that if Al Capone ruled Chicago today, he would still have the equivalent of Tommy guns.
Absolutely.
I mean, the criminals, they never abide by the laws. So banning guns is only banning guns for the good guys.
Right, and we'll talk about an instance of that in Georgia in a minute. But some of the other ramifications of the Sodom and Gomorrah trail that we happen to be going down. California has been hit by 39 earthquakes in 24 hours as scientists warn of movement along the San Andreas Fault. You saw all the massive fires earlier, the drought. That's just all that's just a coincidence. That's not, no, let's not even
but you know, fire and drought, I mean, look at the liberal policies that has been applied to California. It's no, I mean, it is normal business that you'll have fires when you're saving up fuel in the forests.
Right.
Forest needs to be tended to if you feel that you have to keep that fire frequency down. So,
and I wasn't really talking politically. I was thinking more of some of the stuff you read in the Old Testament, and you know, some of the things that happened to people that were astray, and maybe Governor Moonbeam isn't the highest authority in California as the ground falls away from underneath them. But
you know, it is a little bit. I would say it's a little bit troubling that there has been a lot of earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault, because you've also seen a quite high degree of activity in the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is very geologically active ring that stretches around the Pacific Ocean. So, you know, it could be an indication, but I think that this is more an attempt to try to shift focus away from the real important things before this election. Because if you look at these 39 quakes, I mean, they are 39 microquakes or minor quakes. I think the biggest one was 4.1 or something like that. And that's relatively small quakes. So, and they happen all the time. The only wow factor in this is that it's happening along the San Andreas fault and could be an indication of something bigger.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is look at a map of the globe, and you can see that the land masses that are out there right now in our little minuscule time on this planet are puzzle pieces. You can put them all right back together. They broke up before, and they'll probably break up again. That's just,
right.
You know. And speaking of that, since we're talking about California, let's welcome Sean to the program. Good evening. Sean. Oh, there he is. Welcome, Sean, to the program. Good evening.
Hey, Cold War Radio team, how you guys doing?
Doing great, man. What's on your
Good
mind?
evening, Sean.
Looking good out there.
Well, yeah. we're looking good in some of the election polls, even though I don't believe them for crap. You know, I got to say, these micro quakes that you're touching on, I didn't feel a thing. And, you know, us Californians, we've lived through this for so long. You know, it's just pretty much like, oh, okay, well, there you go. It's a little earthquake. We're going to go back to sleep now. That's pretty much how it is.
I saw the news story, and this is one of those stories that I'm sitting in my studio going, why'd you put this in there? But anyway, I did, and the reason I did was because of I just looked at it, and I looked at it not in a scientific way, and not even really in a political way, but just when you hear all the stories coming out of the cities of California, not the whole state, you know, you just shake your head and going, I think we're on the right side of these issues. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, that is the real big earthquake, the real devastating earthquake. Is the political one. It's the one that is caused by Democrats in California that are hell-bent on destroying that great state.
Yeah, we're trying to wrestle it back.
I hope it works.
People's side, and I hope we have. No, I pray and I say we're going to try to get this done.
Good deal.
You know, because
I hope you do. I hope you do. Thanks for calling, Sean. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Hutch.
All right. So you got that. I got to remember. I got to listen for that before they actually show up on my screen before they've completed their connection to the system. But let's talk about what he said, Norway, about the polls. And I feel extremely strongly about this. For 2 years, from the day after the president was inaugurated until tonight, actually until yesterday or the day before yesterday, we have been, and I think I'll be, justified tomorrow. We've been lied to by the media on these polls. I mean, you remember I remember talking to Stacey Rush from Atlanta about the gubernatorial race, and we weren't sure. I mean, the reports were that the Georgia governor race was being led by Stacey Abrams, the Democrat. And now today, the first time it's ever been said today, Georgia governor poll, Republican Brian Kemp leads Democrat Stacey Abrams by 12 points. Now, if that is true, then we have got a lot of soul searching to do when it comes to this fake news and what we're going to do about it. The GOP Senate candidate, Rick Scott, who we've been told was behind in the polls forever, takes lead in last minute in Florida. Now,
yeah, you know, there is an old saying, there are three types of lies. You have the white lie, you have the black lie, and then you have statistics. And, you know, this is a perfect example of that. The pollsters, which by and large are on the left side of politics, they have been using and abusing their power in their business, you know, in doing polls, and they try to boost the feeling of Democrats in the 2016 election. They also tried to do that during Brexit in Britain. The deal about Britain leaving the EU. But sooner or later, it is that old saying: you can bullshit some of the people all the time, and you can bullshit all of the people some of the time, but you can't bullshit all of the people all of the time. It sooner or later it comes back and bites you in the behind, and that is what we're seeing now. And I've seen a lot of these leftist liberal pollsters in the past 24 hours have changed their stone bet. They're absolutely 80% sure that the House would be won by Democrats, and now they are. and get this, I tweeted this. I think it was yesterday. There was some guy that said that a pollster that said that now it's very likely that either the Democrats or the Republicans will take the House.
The way I always put it is, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. So
exactly.
This is just something to watch. It's criminal. What a normal sane person would call it? Colluding with the Democrats to throw an election.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they're doing.
Absolutely. And this poll here was in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote a breaking news story here a couple of days back, November 4th, about Democrats in Georgia trying to hack the voter registration system. I mean, it beggars belief. They are so criminal. A whole state's Democratic Party is trying to hack the voter registration system of Georgia.
And it gets better than that, though, Norway. It gets even better than that, because they got caught, and the guy running against Abrams is the standing attorney general for the state of Georgia. And he's investigating it, and they're saying that he's trying to rig the election because they caught these guys. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're a criminal if you're trying to bring criminals to justice.
Right.
And I mean, you can take any state. I've seen in the past few weeks, I've seen so many cases of voter fraud and election fraud around the country. I mean, Georgia. The only thing that surprised me about Georgia is that you have the entire state party, the Democrat Party of Georgia, trying to hack the state's voter registration system. And it beggars belief that they can't get away with this. I can't understand that one single person in Georgia will vote for the criminal Democrats after this. It means that your vote, it doesn't matter what you vote, really. When people just go in and breaks into the voter registration system and alters everything.
Right, and this is one of my biggest problems with Jeff Sessions. This is one of the reasons that I was so happy when he was made the Attorney General. I was so happy because I just knew that he was going to get to the bottom of this. And we heard an election poll worker in Ohio yesterday say that when she was going through the voter rolls, she noticed her dead neighbor on there. It's just it's something else. Now, a month or so ago, some black pastors had a meeting with the president, and I'm not totally sure that they're the ones that produced this, but that was kind of the way that it was put out there. So let's listen to an ad that supposedly was put together by black faith leaders.
Well, thank you very much. It's my great honor to be here today with some of the leading pastors and faith leaders from across our nation.
My name is Bill Owens, founder and president of the Coalition of African American Pastors. wanted to be here with you today. We've met several times, and we are with you 100%. I'm with Bishop Hines. I'm Church of God in Christ. We all in it together, and we will work together to make the difference.
Officers in Portland, Oregon confronted thousands of protesters in what police called a riot.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors! For the president.
All right, you guys get the point. I looked at the clock and I was like, wow, I got to strip that a little short. But let's welcome Marlene from Eugene to the program. Hello, Marlene.
Hey, hello, everybody.
What's on your mind tonight?
I was going to say, normally you and I were tweeting about that whole mess with Georgia and their voter fraud. And I think I made the remark of, gee, I wonder where, we were saying, well, I wonder where Sessions is. And I was thinking, well, I wonder if he's one of the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
If he wasn't doing jack crap about it, he wasn't doing a thing.
I know. It's
stupid.
It's frustrating. It is. I mean,
very.
You know, I remember growing up, I went to make a long story short, I knew a lot of famous people in the area growing up. And one of the people that I knew was Richard Thornburg, Dick Thornburg, former Attorney General. And I wish he was in there. You know, I just wish somebody that was a law and order guy that had some intestinal fortitude, you know, and there's nothing that you could, if the guy, if people have something on him, then resign, you know, or something.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
He started out as a bulldog, and he's turned into a whip.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, is the guy alive? Did you guys hear from him lately? I mean, where is he?
Woken up?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's absolutely invisible in the landscape. And I mean, when you take into account all the criminalities, even in these elections, he could have churned out the indictments left and right, but you know, there's nothing. I saw one case.
What about the mayor of Oakland? The mayor of Oakland that gave a heads up to criminals that ICE was coming.
No kidding. That was insane.
I
know, and he didn't do nothing about that. He just let it go.
Right, MS-13, man. That's the issue. That's the issue.
Oh, I know. Stupid.
All right, Marlene.
So, Marlene, one question before you go.
Go ahead.
Have you already voted, or will you vote tomorrow?
We have. I've already voted out here. We have vote by mail, which I really wish we didn't have, because when I was younger, I remember when I was a kid, we used to actually go to a physical voting place, and we don't have that anymore.
Really?
No, we don't. We did when I was a lot younger. Yeah, we used to. I can't remember what year it started, but we started doing it all vote by mail. You do get a paper ballot.
Holy smokes!
It's,
I can with today's automated mail systems, I can. Off the top of my head, I can think of at least 2 or 3 ways those votes can be tampered with, and you will never know.
Especially if you look at our postal system.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh man, I hope it works out well, Marlene. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Me too, and I'll give you an update on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Marlene.
All right, so let's move on here and go to back to Georgia, and I want you to. I'm sure you've never been to Georgia, Norway, but I have. I lived down there for a couple of years at Fort Benning in Columbus, Georgia, and got out and met a lot of people. And this isn't going to go well with Georgia. They should have been reporting this from the beginning, but Abrams was ahead until today. Let's listen to the gubernatorial socialist candidate talking about the Second Amendment.
So is that your current position, that law-abiding gun owners in Georgia should have to give up those weapons if authorities deem it necessary?
In the state of Georgia, you introduced legislation to start conversations. I am happy to work with the legislature to figure out how we make an assault weapons ban work. But what I fundamentally believe is that we have to have common sense gun safety legislation. I am someone who supports the Second Amendment, who knows how to shoot, who knows how to hunt, but I believe that our responsibility is to make certain that the most vulnerable in our society do not face those who are irresponsible with their weapons. AR-15s are not necessary on our streets. Semi-automatic weapons have to be put under a certain level of responsible control. And I believe as the next governor of Georgia, I can work with Democrats and Republicans to come up with common sense gun safety legislation that will allow us to make our families and our community safer.
Well, just to be clear, you were one of 6 co-sponsors of this bill, House Bill 731, introduced January 11, 2016, not that long ago. Your co-sponsor told reporters the law, quote, would require gun owners of these particular models to turn their guns in.
And again, my point is this. The legislation introduced was the beginning of a conversation. I am absolutely certain that were we to pass this in Georgia, we would have a conversation about grandfathering in, about whether or not people would turn their guns in, whether there would be buybacks. There are a number of approaches to take to accomplish this goal, but the fundamental responsibility is common sense gun safety legislation in Georgia, making sure we get dangerous weapons off the streets and that responsible gun owners stand together to hold those who are irresponsible accountable, and we reduce the risk of harm to the rest of Georgia.
Well, just to be clear, though, I'm just trying to understand. So you don't support the actual legislation, you just support having a conversation about it?
No, what I've said is legislation in the state legislature is about starting the conversation. Very few pieces of legislation are introduced and come out the same way they go in. That's the process of making the law. My mission in 2016 was to be a part of the conversation. I believe that we have to ban assault weapons in the state of Georgia. But what I'm saying is, as part of my leadership, I'm going to work across the aisle, and we're going to have a conversation about how we accomplish.
No, we're really not going to have that conversation, ma'am. But that's what you call fake news. That's what you call Jake Tapper is turning around just like the pollsters, and then the day before the election, he's going to come out and try to be hard on the Democrat. Give me a break, Jake.
I mean, did you hear the intro? In Georgia, we make legislation to start a dialogue. No, you don't make legislation to start a dialogue. You make legislation because that becomes the law of the land, you know? I mean, it's absolutely insane. And, you know, the argument that the AR-15 doesn't belong on the streets is completely mute, because the Second Amendment was put in there to ensure that the people had something to defend themselves against when it comes to tyranny, which is exactly what the Democrats are trying to impose on America now. It is tyranny.
You're right.
And fighting that, you need all kinds of weapons.
That's right. And you know, the thing about it is she's saying that, but then she has the Black Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party, the one that wants to kill white babies, out there posing with AK-47s and M4s, and it was funny because, you know, when they put a picture like that out, you know, the gun enthusiasts, the people that know weapons, they scour it, and they found the picture of this big dude with this semi-automatic rifle that's all decked out with all the accessories, had the scope on backwards, Norway. The big end was toward the buttstock. It was crazy. They make fools of themselves every day.
Exactly, and so far they've been far more successful in killing blacks than killing whites through their insane abortion system that kills.
And we're going to talk about that too. We've got a really good clip coming up on that specifically. But let me change it up just a little bit, and I want another Jeff Sessions moment, man. I can't help it. You've got an American citizen, Calypso Louis Farrakhan, of the head of the Nation of Islam in the United States, in Iran, addressing the Iranian parliament. Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam in Iran, chanting in Farsi, death to America, death to America. I didn't get that clip because it was in Farsi with subtitles and stuff, and that doesn't work on radio. But he also said some other things in Tehran, and I want you to listen to this guy and ask yourself, is he going to be arrested when he comes back to the United States, colluding with our enemies? Listen to Louis Farrakhan.
I'm coming to you from the United States of America that is gloating over the fact that the President of the United States is going to place on the Islamic Republic the most stringent sanctions that have ever been placed on any nation before. Nothing happens but by the active or permissive will of Allah. So one who is spiritual or believers in Allah might ask the question, why is Iran suffering so much, particularly from the United States of America? Is it not true that you have called America the great Satan? Well, if you believe what you say, then would not Satan be actively involved in trying to destroy a nation that is set up on the belief and practice of submission to the will of God? So we should not be surprised at what Satan does to ill effect the righteous. All that your elders have sacrificed will mean nothing if you do not pick up the revolution and carry it forward. America is making it very hard for Iran to successfully carry out its mission. But if you have the strength to persevere under these hard trials, the victory will be yours.
Yeah.
Get real.
It is. And we had a little bit of a malfunction there. We're back on the air now. I hope everybody's still listening, but we're good now. And you're right. I mean, this guy, to be out there associated with all these Democrats like he is, and there's a lot of people that think that maybe he was involved in whacking Malcolm X, but that's for another show. But you spoke of Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison is the number 2 at the Democrat National Committee, the DNC, and running for Attorney General of Minnesota. And his girlfriend basically exposed that he was being a Muslim when he beat the snot out of her. And again, here's the leftist media trying to make up for the last 2 years when they talk to Perez, the current chairman of the DNC. Let's listen to him dodge the questions.
Last year or two is the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement, women standing up and saying men can't treat us like this anymore. The ex-girlfriend of your deputy at the DNC, Congressman Keith Ellison, is accusing him of domestic abuse. Now, an investigation commissioned by the Minnesota Democratic Party was, quote, unable to substantiate the claim of physical abuse. Is that good enough? What do you say to women in the Democratic Party who say, why is this guy still the vice chair of the DNC?
What I say is that we should always take those complaints seriously, and we do. And that's why an investigation was conducted. That's why Congressman Ellison asked for a health ethics investigation. And Democrats have never hesitated to take action, unlike Republicans. And you know what? Part of why we are going to do so well on Tuesday.
Democrats have never hesitated to take action. Do you mean like in the last year, or do you mean historically? Because historically, I could go through a list of people.
Well, and again, you saw what happened in Senator Franken's situation. Democrats didn't hesitate to do something, even if it was difficult, because that was the right thing to do.
Okay, so you mean just like Jake, in the last year? You're not talking about Ted Kennedy or President Bill Clinton or... I mean, we only have a couple minutes left.
I've been, Jake, I've been chair of the Democratic Party for 18 months. And what I'm talking about is we have worked hard to make sure that we are a party that understands that when women succeed, America succeeds.
So you don't, so do you think,
is doing to women.
Do you think Keith Ellison's ex-girlfriend is lying then? Is that what you're saying?
I think Keith Ellison's ex-girlfriend deserves to be heard and deserves to be treated with dignity and deserves to have a fair and full investigation, and that's exactly what has been done.
Come on, Jake, man. Now, they didn't say a word about Keith Ellison Norway in the last year, and now all of a sudden it's an issue. I see through this.
It is, I mean, Al Franken... when that photo of him was going viral, then they acted, not before. But when that photo started going viral, being shared by the millions and tens of millions, then the Democrats acted, not a second before. And their party is filled to the brim with guys like Ellison, with guys like Al Franken.
Well, you look at the Me Too movement,
etc.
You look at the Me Too movement, and these people tried to turn that on the Republicans, and all of the Me Too people were Democrats.
Exactly, and I mean
all of them.
That's right, and I mean look at when you look at Kavanaugh, the least likely guy to have committed something like that. They try to drag him into that Me Too movement. But when you look through that Me Too hashtag, where does it take place? Well, there are accusations against Hollywood stars and Democrat politicians. That is mainstream Me Too movement. Yet the Democratic Party, they have done everything to silence the real Me Too movement, and only when they're forced to act, when they have their arms twisted around on their back, then they're acting.
Yeah, it's so hypocritical to watch this stuff. Now, what I want to do now is I want to play a video by a good friend of the show, Wild Bill. You heard him a couple weeks ago, and he really lays this out well. I would suggest that you keep this audio or the videos available at the website for future arguments, because the socialists love to call the Republicans Nazis, and Wild Bill has dissected this like it was a science. Let's listen to Bill and liberal Hitlerism.
A proven combination of evil and ignorance, and their incessant accusing of conservatives being Nazis is proof. Jane Fonda spit out the standard ignorant liberal crap this week by saying that the Trump administration has parallels to Hitler and the Third Reich. Let's not let this typical pile of liberal BS fall without being challenged. Now, what is it that Hitler is most known for? The World War II concentration camps, where he tried to exterminate the Jewish race in gas chambers and ovens. 6 million Jews died there. Along with the Jews, he murdered Christians as well. Who has death camps in America today? The Democrats and their Planned Parenthood killing centers have brutally exterminated 60 million children. 60 million. That is 10 times more than Hitler's camps. Hitler tried to win support for his extermination program by vilifying Jews and making outrageous accusations against them. Today's Democrats are doing the same thing, making outrageous accusations against white people and Christians and Supreme Court nominees and calling for action against them. Hitler was notorious for sending his brown shirts with clubs to violently bust up opposing political rallies. Guess what? It's not the Trump administration sending out thugs. It's the Democrats with their Antifa using the exact same tactics as Hitler's brown shirts. Hitler's machine cracked down on free speech, harassing and intimidating anyone who did not parrot the Nazi party line. Guess who's doing that in the USA? The Democrats and their entire liberal media are ruthlessly blocking and harassing internet speech of Christians and conservatives who dare to speak out against liberal agendas. Nazi propaganda movement is like a mirror of today's Democrat Party. Every day, a tidal wave of lies and deceptions pour forth from liberals and the liberal media all across America. Fonda's anti-Trump statement is a perfect example. Yesterday, a flaming liberal TV guy said the greatest terrorist threat in America is white males. And then there's the socialism thing. The entire liberal left-wing Democrat movement is screaming for socialism in the USA. Bernie Sanders, the socialist, is like a god among liberals. Well, guess what? The Nazi Party was the National Socialist Party. The Nazis push socialism. Now, that should be a wake-up call for America. The Nazi Party is coming back to life in the USA, and today it's called the Democrat Party. Now, from this day forward, never let a liberal call a conservative a Nazi without hitting them right between the eyes with these facts. This is Wild Bill for America. Thank you for watching, and America bless God. Again.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is we can't let this stand anymore. I mean, this is literally, well, not literally, but ideologically, the Nazis coming to America. They're hiding. They're not brave enough to say that's what they are. But look at their actions. I mean, this is exactly the brown shirt tactics. In that clip that I didn't play in its entirety from the black pastors, they showed the brown shirts. They weren't wearing brown shirts. But, man, they were in Ted Cruz's wife's face, and they were in other people's face, and they were injuring people and things like that. It is what it is, and we need to stop allowing them to run roughshod over the narrative.
Yeah, there is one little detail in this clip, but it's a minor one, and it's that it was 6 million Jews that were exterminated. The total number varies between 11 and 13 million, something like that. But 60 million people are killed in America.
Yeah, he said it.
And they're killed by the same ideologically same guys that killed those 6 million Jews and in total those 12, 13 million in Nazi Germany. Because make no mistake, the Democratic Party hasn't changed very much from FDR's days and up until today.
And what's the target audience of Planned Parenthood killing somebody?
Exactly.
It's black Americans.
Black Americans, that's right.
Incidentally, and I'm not trying to interrupt you. It's just that I'm getting old, and if I have a thought and I don't say it, I forget. I forget it.
Go ahead.
I already forgot it. No, I didn't. Here it is. If the hypothesis or the quote unquote polling is correct, and 40% of black Americans now support Donald Trump, we're going to know tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to know tomorrow.
That is, the black population, if memory serves me correctly, they are 13% of the U.S. population. So, yeah.
But if you look at election returns, the conventional wisdom, which I'm usually against, but what the people say is that if the Democrats don't get 90% of the black vote, they cannot stand. And I'm not sure what the percentage is for Hispanics. That's why I'm not quoting it. But I understand that the Hispanic support for a successful America versus a socialist America is up as well. So that will tell, because there's nobody left for them.
No, exactly. And I mean, when you see the race baiting they've been trying now in the past few weeks up until the midterms, when you look at they've tried all these old tricks. They've got, race baiting, Trump and his cronies, they're going to kill the black, and, all kinds of insane, crazy things that are so far-fetched that even the most unlearned American now starts putting two and two together and getting approximately four. They've all fallen to the ground, and people are starting to get wise on what is going on, and especially with what is going on with the media. And I'm actually writing an article now on NorwayForTrump.com that shows that the majority, I think it was 63% of Americans now feel that the divisive factor in America is the media.
I've seen that,
and and that is. People are starting to get wise about this propaganda, and that is all the Democratic Party has left is propaganda. I mean, people start seeing that everything they're being told 24/7, 365 by the lying liberal, socialist, communist media, when they start seeing that these are just lies, they are smart enough to understand that they got to cast the ballot for the Republican Party tomorrow.
I think you're right.
So
I
do. Trump can continue.
And it should be apparent tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be exciting. I hope. I mean, the numbers, Norway, are higher for absentee vote, mail-in votes and early votes, much higher than 2016.
Yeah,
I mean, it's phenomenal what's going on, and I'm just. I feel good. I do. Now, we had an audio clip suggested to us from the audience. Who brought us the Bill Cain clip, Norway?
Oh, I have. We have such a good audience on Cold War Radio, and you are just a fantastic bunch of people. And I try to answer all your messages and all your tweets, and I try as best as I can, and I'm so indebted to you about all the golden nuggets you throw my way when you come across something you think that we need to talk about on Cold War Radio. And you are absolutely a pivotal part of this show, because all your inputs, they help make us this great show that we are. And I got this fantastic message on Facebook. I'm not often in on Facebook, but I try to check Facebook before I go live. And I got a fantastic clip from Valerie. And Valerie had sent me a video of a guy called Bill Cain. I have no idea who this Bill Cain is. I think he's just another ordinary American. But when I watched that short little passionate video from Bill Cain, I was totally sold. And I said, this we got to have on the show.
And he sent it up to me, and I concurred. And I actually saw myself in this guy. It's a retired gentleman that set out to do what he wanted to do in the country, and he did that. as I'm doing. And then he said, and now what? As I've said to myself. But what he says after that is pure America and pure Cold War radio audience. Let's listen to Bill Kane. Thank you, Valerie.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to make a short video because I have something to say that I think is worth saying. I set out a lifetime ago to see the United States, and look like I've come to the end of the road. Every place I go now looks like somewhere else I've been. My bucket list is empty. Kind of saddens me. You know, it's funny, you chase a dream your whole life, and then when you finally get there, the only thing you can say to yourself is, okay, what's next? What the hell? Well, one thing I learned for sure, if you live in America and you hate America, you're a damn fool. I've met the nicest people you'd ever want to meet along the way. People willing to share their table, share their experiences. Strangers that will give you the shirt off their back. I don't care what anybody has to say. America is an exceptional country, and we are an exceptional people. People come from all over the world to see the beauty of the United States. I know, I've seen. You know, look at what we got. We got mountains, deserts, prairies, oceans, swamps, boreal forest, and the freedom to see it all. It's all those race baiters and hate mongers out there that want to tear this country down and divide us. Well, you can kiss my American ass, because it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We see right through you. God bless America. You know, if you agree with what I'm saying, please do me a favor and share this video. I think we've been silent long enough. Don't you? Thank you.
Somebody tell Bill Kane that we did better than that. We played it on the show.
Yes, sir.
Great clip, man. And he's sitting next to a river, just in God's country, and it's a wonderful take, man. It just really is.
Absolutely. I mean, this is he speaks the truth, both when it comes to what America is, what Americans are, and the country, but also to the politics, to the Democrat anti-American politics you see today with their race baiting and their hatred and their lies and deceit. And I believe tomorrow, that this is going to end. Americans are going to send a clear, loud message to the Democrats: enough is enough.
I agree. And with that in mind, I want you to listen to the president and how this is the first guy since Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan said as much as he could in the 1980s. First of all, the Democrat Party wasn't as bad. It was close. It was close. But it wasn't as bad as it is now. But he tiptoed around calling them socialists. He liked the word liberal because that's what was in vogue in that time. But I want you to listen to the president today. And this is the first guy that I've ever heard that totally calls out the Democrat crime family for what they are.
Everything we have created and achieved is at stake on Election Day. It is. If the radical Democrats take power, they will take a wrecking ball to our economy and to our future. A wrecking ball. When you enter the voting booth on Tuesday, you will be making a simple choice. A vote for Republicans is a vote to continue our extraordinary prosperity, our extraordinary journey together. It's a journey that we made together, not me, all of us together. A vote for Democrats is a vote to bring this economic boom crashing to a sudden halt. The Democrat agenda is a socialist nightmare for our country. The Republican agenda is the American dream, and that's what we're doing. We're bringing back the American dream.
Now, I apologize for the weird-sounding audio. For some reason, in that YouTube feed, the president's audio was on one track, and the entire room's audio was on the other track. And there was some latency. That's why you heard a little bit of an echo there. But that's what that is. Now, what I'm going to bring up now is from Kurt Schlichter, a friend of the show, and an author, a writer at townhall.com, and a retired colonel, United States Army. And he basically says, ignore the Never Trump losers and vote Republican. Well, I want to play one more clip before I go into this, and this is my pre-election clip. If you will, I don't want to say it's a prediction, but I feel what he feels.
There is something going on in Ohio that they're not talking about. You look at this gigantic room, and there are many more people outside trying to get in.
Now, listen to the background. I mean, this is like Super Bowl crowd. This is Cleveland with more people in it than were there for the Republican National Convention. Pay special attention to the background.
Let them in or not. The problem is we don't have the room to let them in. Thousands of people outside. There is something going on.
There's electricity like people have not seen since a date, 2016 November. A lot of things are going on. Get out and vote.
Hello, Ohio. I love Ohio.
Remember, I heard it over and over again. You cannot win, right? You cannot win. Everything goes through Ohio.
All right, so I feel it too. I know you do too. And this is just something that we're going to find out tomorrow, and we're going to take it like adults, regardless of what happens. But we all feel it. Now, again, back to Kurt Schlichter. And I'm just going to read a little bit here. I've gotten away from that lately, I think, for the good. But sometimes you just have to read it.
Absolutely.
The midterms are tomorrow, and the Never Trump conservatives' latest collective self-own is their insistence that we vote for Democrats because of, get this, conservatism. Well, ahoy to that, you cruise-pushing goofs. And, of course, he's talking about Bill Kristol and his retarded ass. Pardon me if I doubt the savvy political insights of the guys who told us, you know who'd make a great candidate? Jeb. I just can't get my mind around anyone who thinks Jeb is the answer to any question except what political superstar has 3 letters plus an exclamation point blew $200 million for like one delegate and will have low energy carved on his tombstone. Well, by the way, Mitt Romney's back, by the way. After tomorrow, Mitt Romney will be in the Senate. So, Ben Sass, call your office. You've been replaced for the John McCain slot by Mitt Romney. You can just don't run anymore. Here's what I think happens Tuesday, and I could be totally wrong, though being wrong would entitle me to be an honorary never-Trumper. I think we take 3 or more seats in the Senate. I'm going to say 4 or 5 myself. And keep the House. I agree with that. I think we keep power in Washington in the hands of the Conservative Party, and the never-Trump conservatives think this would be a terrible outcome. They really are the worst. Shockingly, never-Trumpers are still a thing, at least in D.C., New York, and the nether regions of the internet, but no one is sure of why. It's certainly not by popular demand. Nobody likes them except weirdos, loser mutations, and MSNBC, CNN bookers. Of necessity, and that's the only place you see them, Steel, Crystal, all of them. Of necessity, they have abandoned their old grift. We are totally committed to winning victories for conservatism in the wake of Trump single-handedly fulfilling all the conservative fantasies that had previously graced the letters section of the Weekly Standard. That's Bill Kristol's outfit and Stephen Hayes. And it's cruise-curious ilk. They always sponsor a cruise a couple times a year where you spend thousands of dollars and get to listen to them. I never thought it would happen to me, but then my president ditched the climate scam agreement and cut taxes hot. But Trump made our erotic right-wing dreams come true after decades of FreedoCon teasing, and now no one calls the Never-Trumpers anymore, and when they try their old pals, they get a text back. New phone, who dis? So now they have their new gift. They are the keepers of the conservative flame, the true conservatives who plan to rescue us from the success of the Trump era. And as part of that plan to get their principled conservatism on, they have stumbled onto a bold and innovative strategy. Help liberals win. And I told you, ladies and gentlemen, a year ago, if not longer, Pat Buchanan, the original Tea Party member, back before anybody knew about the Tea Party in the 1980s, Pat Buchanan came out and said it. All these people that were against Trump are in the same boat. This is me, too. I'm done with Kirk Schlichter. They all are the same kind of people that were against Barry Goldwater before Ronald Reagan's victory. They all are obscure. And as you heard Kurt say, nobody's calling them anymore. They're done, man. Bill Kristol's done. I haven't seen Steve Hayes on Fox News in months. They're through. Norway, they are absolutely done.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I laughed so hard when I read this article, Hutch. It is absolutely brilliantly written, and I would urge people to go to steelcityresistance.com and pick up this article, because it's I mean, he is really a master in toying with the language and making the very harsh reality of the Uniparty so crystal clear that it's absolutely it's hilarious and is absolutely a dream to read. So
yeah, it is, and you can catch him. You can catch the article on the website, but if you go to townhall.com, he's a regular contributor, and he's been on the program a couple times. And just for our military people, he was a platoon leader in the California National Guard. He had already done his active duty service, and I'm pretty sure he was a platoon leader. He might have been a captain, but he responded to the LA riots. And some of those stories are just, they're gold. I mean, wow. Great guy, patriot, solid patriot. And one thing I wanted to cover before I turn it over to you for your excellent idea, I don't know how much time's left, but we can use it in the future, is did anybody see Barack Obama lately? Wow. Cocaine does terrible shit to a guy.
Absolutely. I mean, when I guess he's sort of signed up to the program, so he probably has to show his ugly mug in order to stay a member of the party. But you know, when you what's the name of that YouTube channel? The Body Language Ghost. Yeah, this body language expert. She has this brilliant YouTube video, and she has done an analysis on the body language of Barack Hussein Obama, and it is well worth hopping over to YouTube and looking up body language ghost and take a look at that because when she replays important cues in the body language and when you see these replays, you really get that this man is really, really downtrodden. And I think that, and you see that these guys, they don't believe anymore the crap they're trying to sell. Hillary Clinton with her racial slurs and Barack Obama with his body language, it looks like a beaten dog in a Muslim country. It is
that was drinking antifreeze.
Come again?
That was drinking antifreeze. You know how they put the antifreeze out there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I wasn't going that way. I was looking at it strictly from a street smart sense. And the dude is messed up on coke, man. I mean, there's no question. There is no question. Any street cop will tell you. They pull him over and give him a blood test. That guy was stoned on coke or something similar to coke.
Absolutely. I mean, he looks really sick. It looks like he's 10, 15 years older in 2 years. And, I suppose he could be ill with something. But my idea is also that he's heavily on the dope, and we know that he's been sniffing the stuff.
For I mean, he
so.
did it with Larry Sinclair in the back of the limo. I mean, this is just the way it is. And you look at the guy, and anybody that's ever seen anybody on cocaine, or I mean, it could be some other amphetamines, but I'm going to guess it's cocaine. That's how you are. I mean, this is how you are at 3 a.m. when you're cleaning your kitchen on coke. You're rambling like this guy does, and what an embarrassment, man!
He's an embarrassment, and you clearly get the feeling that he's not on point. I mean, if he takes his eyes off his teleprompters. He completely loses it.
He does.
Stuttering and can't find the right words. And I mean,
I should have grabbed that clip. I should have, and I didn't. Damn it. Maybe I'll play it on Wednesday. But the guy, I'll tell you, man, you listen to it, it's not the same Obama as when he was president. It's not. Man.
No, absolutely not.
He must have stopped that stuff when he was in office. He must have stopped, and now he's out. And he's got millions of dollars, and it's a train wreck. It really is.
Yeah, and I mean the same goes for Hillary Clinton as well. When you look at her, they are far and few and far between. But when you look at the interviews she's given in relation to this election, I mean. Wow, can you imagine that woman slumped back into a chair? She looks like a train wreck. Can you imagine her sitting with a finger on the button in 2018?
I mean, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. These people feel that we are the enemy, the same way that the Germans were our enemy. I mean, they actually feel that about you and I. Forget about President Trump. They feel that about us. So imagine if they get in power.
Yeah, I would say, well, you know, they are the upper class. They are the jet set. They are the cocktail drinking, cocaine sniffing, whatever they gets their buzzing. But you know, they are the elites, and they absolutely hate the people.
They do,
and their agenda is the communist agenda, and that is why. The election tomorrow is so important, because it is a watershed moment between the real Republicans, the soldiers for liberty, for private property, against tyranny, you know, against these communists, because they are communists.
They are.
Hillary
There's
Clinton
no question.
and Barack Hussein Obama, they are communists.
Evil.
And their party is a communist totalitarian party. And you know, Trump is so, again, he has the finger on the pulse of the nation, and he's so right when he says that these are criminals and they should never be given any power anymore. Because if you go back to Reagan, the day of Ronald Reagan, the days of Ronald Reagan, you see that the Democrat Party back then, there was, you know, a part of it was not progressives, but liberals, and those liberals, they are all but gone from the Democrat Party today. The Democrat Party is a totalitarian party, and it can't move fast enough for them to destroy America. And when you look at what's going on down by the border, and they're attacking Trump. Both Clinton and Obama were attacking Trump for his role with this caravan. But you know, the caravan, Kirsten Nielsen, she said, I think it was today actually on Fox News, that they had spotted several individuals in this caravan that had travel patterns typical of terrorists, and they were pushing women and children in front of them to create confusion and penetrate the border, so that border police and military would be, stumped by this move of the women in front.
And,
but, you know,
and our press gets
last year. One thing, last year they stopped 3,000. Special interest aliens, as they call them, suspected of being terrorists. 3,000 were stopped at the southwest border last year.
I've been reporting that since Steel City Resistance initial year. I mean, we reported, Ward Miller and I reported that prayer rugs and Korans, I don't know if you know it, ladies and gentlemen, but when these slugs come up, these illegal aliens come up through the pipeline, and it's an international pipeline, they make one of the biggest messes that you could ever imagine on their travels. And when the Border Patrol goes in and polices up these sites, they found Korans, they found prayer rugs. I mean, it's sickening.
Yeah, and you have this Latin America specialist, Joseph Humeyer, I think his name is. He looks very Latino. He traveled with the Guatemalan intelligence 10 days ago.
Yeah.
You know, they said that some caravans operated in a military fashion. The advanced caravan arrived a couple of days before the rest.
Advanced party, yeah.
Gathering intelligence professionally about border security, number of troops placed at the border, strength and
he called out a sophisticated logistical operation was in place.
That's right.
Water, beans, and bullets, baby. I mean, this was something that has been. We have to get to the bottom of this. We absolutely we need a wartime attorney general. Somebody to get in there and be proactive and be out there on the front lines, and anybody associated with this needs to hang. I mean, it's past going to jail at this point. This is where they're trying to take over our nation, our republic.
Yes,
And you have a very good way. And again, I say this again. I wish we would have brought this up about 2 weeks ago. But your article at NorwayForTrump.com, go.
Yeah, my article on Trump.com, it is an idea I've tried to exercise today, and that is flag persuasion. And this idea is so simple that it's ridiculous that I didn't think about it earlier. But Scott Adams, he is I would say one of the most notable people to walk away from the insanity of the so-called Democrats is the creator of the comic strip Dilbert, Scott Adams. He's been pretty much all over the political landscape. And in 2006, he married a woman called Shelley Miles. He has 2 children. She had 2 children named Savannah and Justin Miles. In February 2014, he blogged that he's no longer married. And an October 2018 blog post, he stated that his stepson had died of almost certainty an opioid overdose, and called for volunteer sponsors to sign up on WenHub, which is where he serves as chief strategy officer. And he is also a qualified hypnotist, and he's a really staunch Donald Trump supporter. And he suggested a couple of days ago that everybody, you, me, everybody, should tweet the American flag out on our social media. So
no captions, no nothing, just the flag.
No captions, no hashtags. Pure American flag, nothing in the background that can take away the attention. Definitely not flags on a cemetery, just a pure American U.S. flag. Go to any search engine and search for the U.S. flag or American flag, and download a good selection and start tweeting or sharing them on your social media. So I've been doing that. I tweeted a couple yesterday, and I've been upping this effort today. And tomorrow I'm absolutely going to plaster my internet channels with the American flag in various variations, but only the flag, nothing in the background, just the flag.
Good deal.
Because the idea here is that when people that are undecided see the American flag, that could be enough to push them over to giving that very important Republican vote. And I would say we shouldn't sell the hide until the bear is killed. It is too early to call victories. Don't believe polls.
That's right.
Go out and vote tomorrow. Take friends and family and co-workers, everyone you can persuade to vote Republican tomorrow. Drive together, make a happening out of it. But please go out and cast that vote, because every vote, and yours in particular, count.
That's right. I mean, if everybody gets out there that voted for President Trump, we got this. I mean, we got this handily if that happens. And I love that, quote about the bear. You got to kill the bear first.
That's an old Norwegian saying. Don't sell the hide until the bear is killed.
There it is. Rocky from California, the president of the Cold War Radio VFW chapter. What's going on?
Oh, man, you just let Norway explain everything that I was going to ask him to explain. So
that's why we're professional radio hosts.
What it is, because what it is, it is really just displaying the American flag with nothing else. And And I know because Norway's been doing this for the last couple of days, and I know he apparently follows Scott Adams too. But that's a very powerful message.
Absolutely, and for the undecided voter, just that the undecided voter, you can count on that they have pride in their identity as an American. And what symbolizes America better than the American flag? I mean, it's simple logic, and I think it's very powerful logic. So I urge everybody to use that technique from now until 9 o'clock Eastern time, I think it is.
Yeah, we've got about 18 hours.
There you go. Hey, Rocky, I want to thank you for everything that you do. You're the last caller. You're the last caller of the night. We're going to wrap this up. Go ahead.
I wanted to thank you for promoting me, Chief. And that was actually a really unexpected thing, and I take it seriously.
I know
thank
you
do.
Sir. I know you do, and I got to tell you, Rocky, I was going to do it all along, but you had support from the whole staff. Isn't that right, Norway?
That's right. It is well deserved. I mean, Rocky, you are one of the funniest guys on the internet. I mean, you have some fantastic jokes. You keep it lively, but you're also really a really good supporter and really professional supporter, helping us to share our phone numbers and other data relating to the show in our fantastic Spreaker chat room. So thank you very much, sir. You are a great help, and you're definitely a part of this team.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to do it. It brings a smile to my face.
Well, that's great.
You know, some people get my jokes. Some people don't get my jokes. Some people know when I'm serious, and they know when I'm joking. And that's what means the most, is when I can find people who I don't even have to speak to them, and they know what I'm trying to say. That means the most to me, and that is why I love you guys.
All right, well, we love you too, Rocky.
We love you too, Rocky.
I got to tell you, God bless you. God bless the Third Anglico, and God bless America. Thank you.
Amen.
Yeah, man. Good night.
All right, so there's Rocky. He's the head guy out there. Now, Norway, I'm going to play something on the way out. You're not going to be able to hear it because my studio has failed me with this iPad. But I'll tell you what we're going to play, and you can say a couple words about it, and then final comments. I'm going to play Telemark Battalion March, something that you forwarded to me earlier. It's the battalion that I'm not sure if they're still currently in Afghanistan, but it's a Norwegian military unit, and this is their song. Norway, your final comments, and how can people reach you?
My final comment is that this is a question of whether you want communism tomorrow, or you want a free republic where liberty and private property and treating people with respect, building that fantastic nation up again after the horrors of Obama. That is what is at stake tomorrow. It is a question of letting Trump doing what he is best in doing, and that is making America great again. So tweet those flags, get those flags out on Facebook. Gab is up and running again, which is really good. It's been a little bit on and off today because they're struggling with an enormous amount of people trying to log on, and they haven't got all their server resources up yet. But have patience. it is starting to work as normal. So tweet out those flags, spread them on Gab, on Facebook, on Google, wherever you are. Get those flags out. No comments, no hashtags, no nothing. Just spread that beautiful American flag. And I will pray tonight that my birthday wish for 2018 today will come true. That America will see a great win for the House and the Senate tomorrow so that Trump can do his job. I am at Norway for Trump on Twitter and Gab. That is at Norway4 with a number 4. And also check out my website, norwayfortrump.com. Have a blessed evening and have a blessed election.
Thank you, sir, and we always appreciate your input and work behind the scenes. Norway does a lot of work behind the scenes. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., your host from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I want to thank everybody in the chat room, everybody listening live, and to all of you folks that are listening to the podcast, we love you just as much. Go to SteelCityResistance.com, become a Cold War Radio patron, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Telemark Battalion March from Norway.
Yes, sir. And the Telemark Battalion is the battalion that has been deployed to Afghanistan. I don't know if they have any contingent out there now, but that is the specialized battalion for foreign operations.
Hopefully we're out of there soon and we can put this all behind us as a grave mistake. The first year was important. After that, who knows? The mayor of Ogden, Utah was killed yesterday. Again, I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. on Facebook, on everywhere. Thanks for letting us into your life for 1 hour. We'll be back for Wednesday analysis with the whole crew. Thanks for letting us into your life for 2 hours. God bless.
God bless.